assistant coach Zach Prince. How are you?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
So not a lot of people know a lot about our assistant coaches. So probably one of the coolest facts about you is that you were a player in the USL and you actually won a championship with the Charleston Battery. How valuable do you see that playing experience from a coaching perspective?
Oh, it's definitely super valuable. I mean, having my first two seasons, our first 3 seasons at Charleston and having 2 championships out of that, super important for me to develop and as a player and learned so much from so many good, experienced veterans that taught me a lot about the game. Not only did they teach me, things on the field, but they taught me how to be a pro off the field, which was so valuable in me continuing on to be a pro in the league.
Do you think that role and that experience is now kind of manifesting with what you're doing with these players on the first team? Do you see yourself as a sort of mentor and guide in their lives?
Definitely. I mean, especially for the younger guys that are, trying to get into the pro game and make that transition from, college into the professional ranks. It's completely different. College season is, it's a sprint. It's really condensed 3.5 month season. And now in the pro season, it's a lot longer. So it can be a little bit more of a grind, and you don't get that instant gratification of playing consistently right off the bat. And so helping guys through that has been really important for me.
So you did not meet Troy Lesane for the first time coming out to New Mexico. Tell me a little bit about you guys' personal history, how he ultimately talked you into coming out to New Mexico.
Yeah, so I grew up in Irmo, South Carolina, and he grew up in Casey, South Carolina, and they're about 15 minutes apart. Troy was a few years older than me, and I had always heard his name when I was growing up as a player to watch coming out. And so I saw him a few times playing in high school and then followed him actually when he started playing in college at the College of Charleston as well. So I'd known about Troy for a long time, but the first time I met him was when my first day at College of Charleston when I came there as a player. He was the assistant coach there. And, that's the first time we met.
How do you think he's evolved throughout your years together? I mean,
man.
There's got to be some pretty stark differences between Troy of then and Troy of now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's so cool to see him, where he was back then into what he's evolved into now. Back then, he was an assistant and kind of taking everything in and just trying to learn as much as he can. While he's still trying to learn today, he's definitely the voice of our locker room and the voice of our team. And so it's been amazing to see like him evolve over the years into that.
In addition to your assistant coach duties with the first team, you're also tasked with the youth programming and what we're going to do with the future of soccer in this state.
Yeah.
What's your experience with that, and what have you kind of gained from the limited time you've had with the New Mexican youth population?
So my last couple of years of playing, I actually started coaching as well, and I coach for a club in Charleston, South Carolina that's called USA Mount Pleasant. That's where I started coaching, and then from there I retired from playing and moved out to Portland, Oregon, and started working in the developmental academy. I've learned a ton through that, and then coming to bring this in, and when that was part of the job description for me, that was so key for me. Bringing something different into New Mexico that we could really make a difference in this youth community, and I think bringing all these elite youth players together is so important for this soccer community.
So we've had some youth camps, right? And the youth camp, everyone essentially knows what a camp is. You pay a fee, you come out, you do training, and it's for everyone else. The high performance program is not by any stretch of the imagination a camp. So can you take a few minutes to kind of explain the differences between what's going on with that program and what we're doing with our camps?
Sure. I mean, camp is more standard to what everyone thinks of when they think of a camp. You pay a fee, you come to the camp for 3 to 5 days, and after the camp it's done. After those 3 to 5 days, the high performance program is a program where it's zero cost, and that's a huge thing for us to make sure that there was no barrier to enter for that. It's all based on your ability. If you're an elite player in New Mexico, we're going to find you some way somehow, whether it's us going out to scout, or it's you coming to a viewing session, or a recommendation by a club coach. We're going to try and find you and bring you into that program. So we're scholarshiping 60 players where they'll come in and have up to 10 training sessions, and then early 2020 we'll start to play some competitive matches.
So looking ahead over the next year, what's that look like for the high performance program?
Yeah, so after we identify up to these 60 players, we're going to start training sessions. And these training sessions are meant to bring all the elite New Mexican players together so they're training in a really competitive environment. Then in early 2020, we're going to start playing exhibition matches against other USL clubs. So that's super important for our older age groups. Our younger age group, where we're going to have the U13 team, they're actually going to go to an event in May 2020, the USL Championships, where they'll play against a bunch of different USL clubs. There's 32 USL clubs signed up right now to go to that event, and so we're really excited to go and compete there.
Cool. So whether it's in relation to the high performance program or working with the youth in general or something with the first team or maybe just the community at large, what surprised you more than anything else about your time here in New Mexico?
Yeah, it's been amazing. My time here in New Mexico, I've never been to the Southwest and spent a lot of time in the Southwest before, but my answer is going to be similar to Brandon's, where, I grew up in the South where we have a lot of Southern hospitality and, people are nice and they go out of their way to be nice, but it's so authentic here. It's so real, where people are so genuine, and it's just been amazing coming into this community and people welcoming me with open arms, and I can't thank the community enough.
Expectations, right? This has been this sort of sliding scale that we started the season with a certain amount of expectations. Maybe those changed a little bit around, match day 4 or 5, and now we're up to match day 14, essentially. Sure. What are your expectations now moving forward?
For the first team, I'll always go back to this, and it might be a boring answer, but it's the truth of the matter is, we're looking forward to the next game, and then once we complete that match, we're moving on to the next one. So honestly, to make sure we put our best foot forward every single day and make sure we're, very prepared going into every match. And I think we've done a really good job of that so far, but it's so important that we recognize that we're a third of the way through the season and we haven't really accomplished anything yet. And just to keep pressing on every day.
All right, we're gonna close with the fun one, right? Because
right.
We just had a sit down with Mr. Brandon Morris, our director of soccer operations, and during rapid fire, he took a pretty hard line on one of my questions. I know that you guys are both fairly tough individuals, and so I said to him, I said, if you step into the octagon with Zach Prince in a mixed martial arts showdown, who's gonna win? And he did not soften his answer at all. He said, "quote, I'd crush him." Is there any sort of response you'd like to give to Brandon?
That's right. I have a really good tactic about this. I'm gonna wait, and these are 5-minute rounds, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, standard.
Okay, so standard 5-minute round. I'm gonna tire him out. So I'm gonna be really elusive, not let him get his hands on me, get those big bear paws on me. I'm gonna make sure I'm around and tire him out a little bit, and then when he gets tired, that's when I go for the kill.
Well, that answer was equal parts interesting and terrifying. So I guess that's a good point for us to wrap up our chat. Good luck this week. Got a doubleheader, and we'll be rooting for you as always.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Lucas.